Let's move on now. Border Force has stopped using drones from a Chinese manufacturer. This is an interesting one. It's something that you've been calling for. What were your key concerns here?
Look, I also welcome this decision by Border Force. It follows the decision by the Australian Defence Force to also ground their DJI drone fleet. And comes after I submitted dozens of questions on notice to every government department and agency asking them whether they use these products. The reason why I asked is that in October last year, the Pentagon blacklisted DJI drones for two reasons. One, DJI drones has been assessed to be involved in the human rights abuses of Uyghur people in Xinjiang in China. And two, the Pentagon believes that DJI drones is secretly controlled by the People's Liberation Army. So if they're not safe to use in the US military, then I don't think they should be in the Australian Defence Force or the Australian Border Force. So it's a good thing that they have now grounded this fleet and they are not using them. And I'm calling on every other government department and agency to do so as well. The concerning thing, though, here, Danica, is that this is, again, another example of the government being reactive and responding after they've been prompted by questions on notice. It happened with TikTok. It happened with the Chinese CCTV cameras, Hikvision and Dahua, that I found across the Commonwealth Public Service, and it's happening again. They have to be much more proactive about this. It is not good enough to rely on opposition senators to put questions on notice, to prompt them to take action, to protect our cybersecurity. They have to be much more forward-leaning.
But these drones have been used by successive governments. The ABF has purchased 41 DJI drones since 2017. So this is an ongoing issue for successive governments.
It certainly is, Danica, and you could argue at least up until, say, October last year that there was an excuse for doing so. But after October last year, there really was no excuse because our closest military and strategic ally assessed that there was nothing that they could do to make these drones safe to be operated by the US military. Now, if the US military, with all its powers and resources, can't safely operate these drones, I'm really deeply sceptical that the Australian military or the ABF or anyone else can safely operate them either. And it is puzzling that they didn't act after our allies did in October. It was publicly disclosed in October that they had sanctioned and blacklisted DJI, but it took until earlier this year when I started submitting questions on notice before any action took place. And this again just shows a reactive approach from this government. We need them to be on the front foot, anticipating these threats, assessing them and dealing with them before someone like me thinks that it might be a problem and starts asking questions.